We are in Siman 248 discussing about embarking on a ship on Friday and what we're not supposed to do when we're getting closer and closer to Shabbat. Okay? So no one sponsored yet this class. So this class is dedicated to Refuah Shalema, speedy recovery for all Klal Yisrael, and especially for the Israeli soldiers and the security forces in Israel and around the world. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihya b'dvaro.
Amen.
Okay, so we talked about using ship, boat, airplanes on Shabbat, and what one's supposed to do if he got stuck in the airport. So let's discuss a little bit about electrical trolley train. Okay, can we use something like that on Shabbat when it's been used automatically? There's an automatic system that goes from one station to another. You can see stuff like that at the airport. Right? I don't think there's even a driver there. You guys just go from Terminal A, Terminal C, it's automatic. So the Halacha says the following: it is forbidden to ride an electric trolley on Shabbat, even if it is operated by non-Jews, and even if the trolley stops at each station automatically. Riding an intercity train involves yet another prohibition, that of traveling outside one's tchum. There's a lot of calculation behind it. Obviously, the rabbis are not against people coming to the synagogue. They want to have a large crowd. If they permit that, then maybe 10 times more people that are able to come. Okay? But because it's involved a lot of Shabbat desecration, this is why it's prohibited. Even if the floor of the train car is more than 10 tfachim above the ground, and not in the realm where the prohibition of traveling outside of tchum applies. Tefach or tfachim, this is more or less the size, tefach. In this case, it still poses a halachic problem, since the wheels of the train touch the ground and the entire train car is considered to be on the ground. One may not ride a city trolley either, even if one has established the fact that the addition of the Jewish passenger does not cause the trolley to expend extra electricity as it runs. Like we're saying about a car. Car with one person, one driver, or 5 people, consume gas differently, right? More passengers, you will consume more gas, more fuel. It is still forbidden for several reasons. One of which is that this activity will constitute wanton disregard for the honor of Shabbat. Okay. What about a person who lives outside of the Eruv, right? And his only connection to Judaism, to Torah, is with one Orthodox synagogue. And he uses this kind of train. Should the rabbi protest and take him after Shabbat, or during Shabbat, and tell him, listen, it's wonderful that you're coming. Please keep coming during the week. But Shabbat, it might be a problem. Or these guys show up only on Shabbat. May he continue? Should we tell him something? Should we protest? There is a mitzvah to rebuke your friend. If you don't rebuke him, you will bear the sin as well. We have a mitzvah, right? So what are we going to do in this case? This is only connection to Judaism. If we tell him, I will stay home. Bottom line, won't come anymore. What do you think?
I saw a video one time where a rabbi had brought this up, and he said that if somebody came to his synagogue and they showed up, he wouldn't ask them how they got there. But if the person comes to him and says, "Is it okay for me to drop on Shabbat?" he's going to tell them it's actually better for them to stay at home and observe Shabbat that way rather than break Shabbat to get to synagogue.
Okay. So the halacha says the following. A rabbi serving a community in a country outside of the land of Israel forwarded to us a question. I think I read it last week, no? Okay, no. Forwarded us a question about a Jew who lived in a neighborhood far away from the nearest synagogue. This Jew's only connection to Judaism was that he attended the synagogue regularly, every week. He traveled each Shabbat.
I think you did read this last week.
Okay, anybody here remember?
No.
Okay, I should give you homework, you guys. You don't remember? You don't remember? Okay. This Jew's only connection to Judaism was that he attended the synagogue regularly every week. He traveled each Shabbat on the city trolley, which is operated by a non-Jew, and which always stops at each station on its route. The rabbi feared that if he would tell the Jew to stop traveling to the synagogue on Shabbat, the Jew and his family will lose their tenuous connection to the Jewish community and would become completely assimilated. So the answer is as follows. As long as the person who is doing this does not ask for approval for this action, so you heard me saying that, right? That's the video you saw. You don't ever remember me saying it.
I remember you saying
it. The rabbi should ignore what he's doing. If he does ask whatever it is permissible to act as he does, the rabbi must not tell him that it is permitted, even if the circumstances described here. In particular, if the traveler has to carry a ticket with him in order to travel, he would be personally desecrating Shabbat by carrying it. The rabbi should do his best to persuade the Jew to move to the neighborhood that has a synagogue within walking distance. Alternatively, he should persuade him to rent a room within walking distance of the synagogue for each Shabbat. All right? Make sense?
So what you're saying is don't ask the questions you don't want the answers to, or know somebody that lives nearby.
Well, that was for you. Okay. This Shabbat is so important. I'm going to mention now halacha that you think is going to be pretty obvious, but we see that keeping the Shabbat and not desecrating Shabbat is so important. Yeah. In the times of war, how we are taking Shabbat under calculation? How are we going to...
You don't start a battle within 3 days before the Shabbat.
Before 3 days before Shabbat. Why?
Because you don't want, obviously, the thing to go through Shabbat.
So, there's any guarantee that it will end within 1 day or 2 days, 3 days? But yet, the halacha teaches don't start Thursday, start Sunday.
Yeah.
When waging a war, if it makes no strategic difference, the soldiers may not begin an attack on Shabbat or any time within the 3 days preceding Shabbat. Also, when laying siege to a city, the army must begin the siege during the first 3 weekdays, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. These restrictions apply even when waging milchemet mitzvah. I remember talking about it last week. A war which the Torah commanded us to wage. Okay, there is 2 kinds of war. Milchemet mitzvah, a mitzvah war, and reshut. It's an optional. It's up to you. It's not from the Torah. The Navi didn't come and say you should start a war. So, bottom line, if scheduling the attack, this places the soldiers in danger, okay, scheduling the attack this way places the soldiers in danger, because the delay gives the enemy the opportunity to reinforce themselves or to mount a surprise counterattack. The soldiers may begin their attack at any time of any weekday, even on Friday. In all cases, once the soldiers have begun the battle, they may continue right through Shabbat. This is true even when waging a Milchemet Reshut, the optional one, a war that the Torah did not command us to wage. Something like we have right now. And Gaza, we're not fighting against Amalek, per se. I don't know what you mean. We were attacked, and we have to retaliate. We have to fight back. We have to protect ourselves. Okay. Let me ask you a question about Brit Milah. Baby born, doctor says is completely healthy. When we are doing the Brit? What if, so we have to do it 8 days, right? Or closest as possible to the 8th day. What if the doctor says that the baby is not ready, it's not healthy? And a day passes. After a week, the doctor said or so, you guys going out of the hospital, it's all good. But what about bris? You can do a Brit Milah. When we can do the Brit? Which day of the week? Sunday. What if the mother goes out on Wednesday and they want to do it on Thursday or Friday?
8 days. Sunday is Shabbat. No, somebody goes to the hospital.
And it's already 2 weeks past. He was sick. They're going out the hospital on Wednesday. They want to do the bris on Thursday. Or Friday.
No.
Should we wait till Sunday or do it right away, right immediately when it's permitted?
Wait till Sunday.
Huh?
It should be done right away when it's permitted.
So everybody is saying right away, except Moshe. Moshe said wait till Sunday. Why wait till Sunday?
Why?
On the 8th day.
Because if there's some complication next to the Shabbat, it's not good.
Okay, very good.
Is
So
it actually a mitzvah to do it during Shabbat? You can't do it during
no
Shabbat.
Shabbat. It's no question. You don't do it in this case. Okay, unless it's the 8th day. The 8th day ritual.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
On the
what
8th
it
day,
is.
you do even if it's Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbat. There's no question. Everything is
cases where you couldn't do it on the 8th day.
right. So listen to the answer. If a newborn boy was not circumcised on his 8th day because he was not physically fit for the procedure, and he became physically fit on Thursday or Friday, it is forbidden to circumcise him on those days. This is the custom among Sephardic Jews in the land of Israel. The reason for this is that we are concerned, lest complications arise within the first days after the circumcision, and we will be forced to desecrate the Shabbat to treat him. Therefore, since we have already postponed the circumcision beyond the 8th day, we postponed it further until the following Sunday. In communities where there is a clearly established custom to perform circumcisions on Thursday or Friday, even when that is not the baby's 8th day, they may continue to follow that practice. In communities where there is no clearly established custom, they should be stringent in this matter. Indeed, there are a number of Ashkenazic rabbis who tell those who ask them to postpone such a circumcision until the following Sunday. So in some Ashkenazic communities also following the halacha like Sephardi. So this is why it has to be asked individually by the parents, asking their rabbi or the community rabbi. If the baby becomes physically fit to be circumcised within the last 3 days before Yom Tov, it is permissible to circumcise him that day without further delay. It's a difference between Shabbat and Yom Tov. We likewise may not circumcise a prospective convert to Judaism on Thursday or Friday, so we should not have to desecrate the Shabbat to treat him if there are any complications. And we have, if you notice here, all converts do the mikveh and whatever on Sunday, and we make sure that circumcision will be even a month before.
Yeah.
We know more or less the date. They need to heal, they need to prepare themselves, so we try to do even earlier than that. Okay? So those who get into the conversion process should do the bris as soon as possible. Questions? Tov. Bottom line, let's summarize it. Following the line of reasoning set forth in the above halachot, it is forbidden to do anything on Thursday or Friday that might bring about an emergency situation that will necessitate desecrating the Shabbat. Okay? For example, when scheduling an elective or non-emergency surgery, you need to, God forbid, schedule a surgery. Which day of the week you should do it? The first 3 days, obviously. Okay? For example, such as the removal of tonsils. One should schedule the procedure to take place on one of the first 4 weekdays. We always have to suspect that life-threatening complications might occur sometime during the first 3 days after the surgery. And we must avoid the possibility of such an occurrence on Shabbat when possible. So even if the doctor says, I have only opening on Thursday or something like that, so postpone that if it's not an emergency. If you keep Shabbat, Hashem will keep you. Because that's the reason you're postponing it. You have blessing in this surgery. I heard around more than one person that did this tonsils removal, even for kids. And the stitches open, it was bleeding internally, and sometimes they don't notice because they're swallowing it. If they don't feel the taste, I don't want to disguise you, but it happens all the time. Okay, according to much as possible, emergency surgery, however, may be performed on any day of the week. If the specialist who is to perform the procedure can schedule it only on Thursday or Friday, there are poskim who permit it. In all cases, where the person had surgery on Thursday or Friday, whether it was permitted to do so, or even if he had scheduled it, contrary to the halacha, if complications set in and it becomes necessary to treat the patient on Shabbat to save his life, it is permitted to treat him. Sometimes people come to the doctor, to the rabbi with a question. He says, listen, the specialist that everybody wants, and I want, is free only on Thursday and Friday, for example, okay? I have other options with another doctor, which is also good, but they're not as good as this one, and they're open and from Sunday, they're open the whole week. So the rabbis will calculate, and again, you have to ask individually. They might permit it. It says, you know what, if it's a specialist, it's better go on Thursday. Okay, versus going with someone that has less experience. Based on the above principle, one of the poskim ruled that one may not pour cement onto a roof under construction on Thursday or Friday, since it will then be necessary to desecrate Shabbat by pouring water over the setting concrete. I don't know if you noticed that. Here you have the using in the last few years, it's called quick dry cement or stuff like that. In Israel, as a child, I would see it all the time when they are pouring a roof or any cement job, they were watering it for a few days for water. It was part of the procedure. I think today it's less relevant. Okay. It is definitely permitted. However, if one set up the hose in advance to pour a small stream of water onto the roof steadily throughout Shabbat, or if one sets up the sprinkler system with a timer to turn it on automatically on Shabbat, it's fine. It's good. They used to do that watering the cement so cement won't crack, won't break. Okay. Okay, you know what? Let's conclude this halacha, which is, I don't think, relevant today, but just to learn about the challenges our grandparents had. People want to go to the land of Israel to make aliyah. So back then they didn't have planes. So how they used to join a bunch of people with caravans, okay, or wagons, and just travel all the way from Turkey to whatever, and all the other places in the Middle East, all the way to the land of Israel. Okay, sometimes or many times they were traveling on Shabbat because the Jews is part of, 30, 40, 50 people, and you can say, no, Shabbat, I'm resting. They're going to leave him there. It's a dangerous area. Right? What you should do? If a Jew wishes to join caravans of non-Jews to travel through the desert, and it is obvious that it will be necessary to desecrate Shabbat to travel, he may not join if they set out on the trip during the last 3 weekdays. It is permitted to join them if they set out on the trip during the first 3 weekdays, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then it becomes necessary, and then if it becomes necessary to desecrate Shabbat in order to avoid life-threatening danger, he may do so. If someone ignored this halacha and joined a caravan of people who set out on their journey during the last 3 weekdays, he may nevertheless continue to travel with the caravan on Shabbat, if stopping will endanger his life. Sometimes they are resting, they're parking near villages or in village or in city, so he can wait to another group to come and he can join them. But there's no option. You may continue on Shabbat, and traveling on Shabbat, has in it a lot of Shabbat desecration, preparing the animals and you name it. Okay. If the traveler moving from another country to the land of Israel and he finds a caravan traveling his way, he may join it even if they are setting out on the trip on Friday. So what we said so far is just traveling for the purpose of traveling, a business, visiting families, you name it. Now, the other half of the halacha discusses the situation going to make aliyah. Okay, going to the land of Israel. So, if the traveler is moving from another country to the land of Israel and he finds a caravan traveling his way, he may join it even if they are setting out the trip on Friday. This is because, why? Why? What?
What's the question?
What was the question again?
Nobody's listening to me.
Yeah,
Everybody asking, what's the question?
If someone joins a caravan, if it's for the purpose of
This travel is for the purpose of making aliyah, going to the land of Israel. So it says in that case you can even travel on Friday. Why? Yes.
For the sake of a mitzvah, you're making aliyah.
Exactly. Very good, Judah. This is because the trip is for the sake of a mitzvah. He must make it clear to his co-travelers that he is joining them on condition that they do not travel on Shabbat. Once they agree verbally to this condition, if they do not keep their argument agreement and insist on traveling on Shabbat, he may continue to travel with them, although they take him beyond the tchum. Many times they say, no, don't worry, we need to rest, we're all good. When they start traveling, they know he's not going to stay in the desert, always cheating them. But he made his efforts, and it's all good. Okay. Any questions? So, I don't know if you heard this halacha before, but we're going to talk now the Siman 249 rules particular to Fridays. What rules particular to Fridays? Why Friday is different than Wednesday or any other day of the week? Ma? So what kind of halachot? Tell me what halachot you're familiar that specifically specialized for Friday.
Make meals for Shabbos morning.
Making meals. Right. What else? So listen to this. You know, one of the very special and beautiful halachot that we have in regards to Pesach, which is this year, it's going to be Saturday night. Every few years we have this challenge, and we're going to discuss how we can handle it. Because Shabbat we're still eating chametz, and Saturday night you have to stop eating chametz, but we have to eat the second seudah and the third. What about the crumbs? What about other challenges that we usually get rid of Eve of Pesach? So we'll discuss that, Bezrat Hashem. But one of the mitzvot that are related to Passover or Seder night is that one would come, would join the Shabbat meal with appetite, hungry. This is why one of the mitzvot is not to eat during the eve of Pesach. Let's say it's, Wednesday night, Thursday night. So during the day, like the eve of Shabbat, eve of Pesach, we don't eat. You can grab here. It's not a fast. You're not supposed to fast unless you're firstborn. But you a little bit here, a little bit there. Take a coffee, something like that, because we need to eat a lot of kazait matzah. There's a lot of food. If you're full, you won't participate. You won't enjoy Pesach. Everybody knows that, and they're avoiding eating during the day. So they come with appetite, hungry to the meal, and excited to participate. What about Shabbat? Shabbat is more or less the same. Many people do mistakes and eat during Friday all day long, either cereal or they want to grab from the fish their wife makes or their moms make, or whatever food they smell during the day drives them crazy, and they have to take portions. At the end of the day, what happens is they become full and they barely eat. And I had it a few times, people that we invited, we do a motzi, Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of food on the table. What about you? You're not eating? I'll tell you, I'm full. Just 3 hours ago I ate this and I ate that. You're missing the point. Well, it's not a regular day. You're not going to enjoy Shabbos meal now. So one aspect of the mitzvah of honoring Shabbat, it's considered while you're not eating, it's honoring Shabbat. You have a mitzvah for that. You're already, no, I'm not eating this. I want to eat Shabbat meal with appetite. Immediately you get a mitzvah for that. For avoiding eating, one aspect of the mitzvah of honoring Shabbat is to see to it that one is hungry when Shabbat begins, so that one will look forward to Friday evening meal. You should know that many, many people fasting during Friday, every Friday they're fasting, not eating, not drinking. They're not even working, they're staying home, they're studying, learning, helping out. Some avoiding eating and they're just drinking. Coffee, it's all permitted, it's not a must. You don't have, but yes.
It's not a mitzvah to try the food for the Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
To try to taste it. Right?
The chef should try it. The one who prepares it, he should try to see if he needs to add any spices.
Yeah.
Okay. even if you taste just a little bit. Take a pick with a spoon. Not the whole plate full. This is from the fish. Now it's a mitzvah to taste from the meat. That's from the chicken. What about dessert? Dessert ready. I got to taste it. You missed the point. For this reason, our sages ruled that we may eat only regular, everyday meals on Friday. We may not partake of a feast for a special occasion, even if it is held early Friday morning, since we will likely eat more than usual, and then we might not have an appetite to fully enjoy Friday, equal night Shabbat meal. It becomes, in the last 20, 30 years, a thing to do weddings on Fridays. I remember as a child participating in events like Brit. Brit is the 8th day. It is what it is. It happens all the time, every Friday. So they try to do it early in the morning. We participate. There's a mitzvah to eat. So we eat a small amount, portion of bread, just a little bit, and we leave. Okay. But now there's a wedding. The wedding is not going to do 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. They're doing it in the midday. People participating. One of the reasons, it's very much affordable to do that in a hall. There's almost no event. They give you the less half of the price. So people take advantage of it. So there's more and more events occurring on Fridays, like wedding and stuff like that. Just need, a wise man plan forward. To be careful. It is commendable to refrain from eating any meal within the final 3 sessional hours before Shabbat, so that one can enjoy the Shabbat meal to its fullest. Even if one is accustomed to eating a meal every day at that time, it is proper to refrain from doing so on Friday. Obviously, people that have to take medications and it has to be after a meal need to play the game wisely. Okay, a meal is a very big word. Okay, sometimes with eating crackers and drinking something is good enough for the medication. So ask the doctor if this is good enough. I know for a fact that people that certain medications, if you drink, cause nauseous. You have to eat something. Sometimes crackers or something small will do the job. All right? All right. Now, nevertheless, it is permissible to make a festive celebration of a mitzvah that is performed on Friday, such as circumcision or the redemption of the firstborn son. For these occasions, we may make a major feast that people are not accustomed to eating every day, even late in the afternoon during the 10th sessional hour or afterward. Nevertheless, it is most proper that one schedule the celebration for the morning hours, if at all possible. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but did you hear about the Pidyon Haben? Pidyon Haben? Okay. So, it's an event that the firstborn boy is redeemed by the Kohen. Okay, you can read about it. It's called Pidyon Haben.
Is the firstborn?
Someone will ask you, tell me, what is Pidyon Haben? If you don't know, it means that, this is something basic. Okay, just read about it later. Pidyon Haben. Pidyon Haben, it's basically when you have a first baby boy, and a regular birth, not a C-section, and God forbid the wife didn't miscarry before. It's the original firstborn. The Torah commended us.
The baby, the firstborn of the
Either.
father, of the mother.
Either. And it has to be not Levi, not Kohen, all that. It's more choice. That's what I'm saying. It's not our topic, but just read about it. Even if you could Google it, 5 minutes, you know exactly what he's talking about. The Kohen comes and we redeem it. Otherwise, this firstborn should be for the Kohen. So the Kohen in the ceremony asked him, do you want the baby or should I have it? And then they exchange it with a special 5 silver coins and on the whole ceremony. Very interesting. What if it happens on Friday? People invited, there's a lot of food on the table. In the evening, maybe, 6-7 hours later, you have Shabbat meal. Even if the firstborn son is redeemed a day later than the son's 31st day of life, the family may hold a festive meal in honor of the mitzvah. And even if it is late Friday afternoon, if the family serves only cakes and snacks instead of a full meal, they will receive a special blessing from heaven. You hear that? Usually in Sephardi community, in Yemeni community, it doesn't happen. They won't serve just candies. They're going to serve a whole meal. Okay. It's also part of Kabbalah. They understand that this is the more brachot, the more blessing will protect the child. When you are offering just drinks, and cakes, cookies, and other treats might be only shehakol and mizanot, or adama and etz, but best thing to go with is hamotzi, the full meal, and birkat hamazon after that and all that. So many won't miss that. Anyways, just for sure you understand the challenges, and we don't take Fridays lightly. We know that this is a preparation for Shabbat. And the whole blessing that we get during the week, the blessing that we have today, and Monday and Sunday and the entire week, is from the last Shabbat, the previous Shabbat. Just so you know. What about wedding feast or engagement feast on Fridays? They can be done on Shabbat, on Friday. It is permissible to hold a wedding feast on Friday afternoon. Some poskim wrote that an engagement celebration, when the families signed the agreement outlining their financial obligations toward the wedding, is not considered to be a celebration of a mitzvah, and such a feast may not be held on Friday. This is so even if the couple become engaged that very day. Certainly, if they become engaged earlier. Other poskim are lenient in this matter, and in practice, we follow this lenient opinion, since a great many poskim agree with this leniency, as listed in Kaf HaChaim Sofer. At any rate, all poskim agree that it is permissible to serve snacks and cakes as at such an occasion, for this is not a meal at all. Okay, let me conclude this part with the next 3 halachot. It has been the practice of some very pious individuals to fast the entire day every Friday, so that they will enjoy the Shabbat meal to its fullest. On the other hand, some of the Kabbalists discouraged any fasting on Friday for Kabbalistic reasons. Like you mentioned, to taste from the food, for example. Anyone who accepted upon himself verbally on Thursday afternoon to fast on Friday, such as someone whose parents' death anniversary, it's custom, it's called Yortzeit. The Yiddish word is Yortzeit, the day the parents passed away, the father or the mother. So many have the custom that day, every year, once a year, they are fasting during the day. Obviously, they're not fasting and going to play sport, but they're increasing the volume of Torah learning, doing more psalms, and so forth and so on, okay? For that day. Many have that custom. So, if it occurs on Friday, must fast the entire day until after twilight of Friday night, even though that means he will begin Shabbat while enduring a fast. What does he consider a whole day? Nightfall, right? Nightfall, meaning Shabbat already begun. And it's not recommended to start Shabbat when you're fasting. But on the other hand, you already declared a fast. Fast can end and finish only at nightfall. Some poskim rule that it could be a little bit earlier, maybe we'll see it another day. It's basically 18 to 20 minutes after sunset. If he stipulated, verbally said that when he accepted on himself to fast, that he intends to fast only until after the congregation prays Arvit, he may pray Arvit with the congregation in the late afternoon, if they pray at that time. And then he may recite Kiddush and eat, even if it is still daylight, unless he expresses this condition openly when verbalizing his intention to fast. However, he must fast until after twilight of Friday night, as mentioned above. So after twilight, it's a must. You see how the power of speech, the declaration that you make, it's very important. We have just recently the 10th of Tevet, fast, on Friday, remember? So we were eating earlier, a little bit earlier, because we're not supposed to start Kiddush when we're fasting, or start Shabbat when we're fasting, so we have to do it a little bit earlier. Okay. Oh, here it is actually. On those years when the fast of the 10th of Tevet occurs on Friday, we must fast until after twilight. Also, if someone has a bad dream while sleeping Thursday night, and it disturbs him so much that he decides to fast Ta'anit Halom. There's something called Ta'anit Halom. Halom means dream. Okay? For people that have nightmares and it's coming back 2 or 3 times, sometimes it's a message from Shimon, but it bothers him. The message is very harsh. He doesn't know what to do. So one of the solutions is a fast. But the fast falls on Shabbat because he just had it on Thursday. And he wanted to do it immediately to fix the problem. But can't wait till Sunday. So we permit him the halacha permit him to do it on Friday, on Shabbat. In this case it's Friday, but sometimes he wants to do it on Shabbat. If he has a bad dream on Shabbat, and he wants to fast the next day, then he may do that. It's very, very strange, but he may do that. But he had to compensate for desecrating the only Shabbat, the pleasure of Shabbat, compensate for it during the week to fast another day, because canceling the only Shabbat. Anyways, on those years when the fast of 10th of Tevet, like happened this year, occurs on Friday, we must fast until after twilight. Also, if someone has a bad dream while sleeping Thursday night, and it disturbs him so much that he decided to fast of Ta'anit Halom on Friday to nullify any evil omen the dream might portend, he must fast until after twilight. Don't take it lightly. Less halacha, some poskim rule that it is forbidden to eulogize the deceased on Friday afternoon, unless the deceased had been a Torah scholar, and then only in the presence of the body. Other poskim rule that it is permissible to eulogize anyone on Friday. Each case should be judged individually. What's the reason, by the way? What's the problem to eulogize? You honor the deceased. For the same reason, we don't eulogize on the days of Hanukkah. And no one should go to the cemetery on Hanukkah. Because it brings a lot of pain and sorrow, and it's supposed to be in joy. And then when the person eulogize, affect him and affect the congregation, and you come to Shabbat with your face, down, and people are upset. Shabbat need to be celebrated with appetite, hunger, with joy. It's the blessing for us and for the entire Klal Yisrael and for the entire week after that. So from now on, we won't take Fridays lightly, right? Mm-hmm. Make preparation. Actually, the whole week, everything you buy, it says for the sake of Shabbat, and Hashem will return the expenses to you. Okay? When you celebrate for the sake of a mitzvah, Hashem become part of it. And Hashem as a partner, take care of his partners. I want to wish you all the best, much blessing. See you Bezrat Hashem Shabbat, morning 9:30, continuing with Joshua. Okay? Any questions? God bless you all. Shalom. Thank you.